You guys, let me ask you a question, right? So, look at me. Look at my outfit. I'm wearing my corset, and my fucking jugs are looking really good. These are mine too. This is all me, boo. All me. I mean, yes, I am wearing a push-up bra, okay? You must know. But these are my breasts, right? So I'm feeling really hella fish right now. So I'm feeling hella female, hella fish. And I'm at one of my favorite thrift stores, which is one that I also applied for a job in, by the way. P.S. Hopefully I get it. But, so I'm in line, right? And I'm about to purchase my items, looking quite similar to the way I'm looking right about now. And this guy, he starts talking to me. And I was a little surprised because the men at least, that tend to shop, the men that typically you would encounter in this thrift store are typically like gay men. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just don't expect them to be hitting on me, you know? But this guy wasn't gay, you guys. He was totes straight as an arrow. And so he's like, you know, oh, you're really beautiful. I would love to take you out sometime, you know, take you out to dinner, whatever. And I'm just like so into it, right? Because not only am I in line, but there's like a few other people in line too, not to mention the employees that were working behind the counter. So like everybody's kind of observing us, and they're observing this man flirting with me. So I just feel like so like not only embarrassed, but embarrassed in a good way. Like I was just feeling like really kind of like I wanted to put my head in a hole in the sand, you know? But at the same time, I felt so good because this man was handsome and he was very attractive. And he was like extremely gentlemanly. And I just loved it. I felt like such a woman, you know? I felt so feminine at that moment. And it just felt so good. Like there was no dysphoria. There was nothing but pure, sheer, like just flattered mushiness, right? On my part, at least. And so I gave the guy my phone number, of course, you know, and about an hour later, he calls me and we start to talk on the phone. And we spoke for about maybe 15 or 20 minutes, where it started to occur to me that this guy might not know that I'm trans, you know? And it brought up this question, like, when do we tell the guy that's into us that we're trans? You see, when I first started my transition, you guys, I was really masculine. I was very manly looking, and I was very masculine acting. So I did not look like how I look right now. I looked like a linebacker in a dress or a Neanderthal in a skirt. I just looked really mannish, you know? And we all have to start somewhere. It's not like you just wake up one morning and just like look hella femme, unless you start really young, or if you're from the Philippines or something, I don't know. But for me, it did not play that way. For me, I looked very manly because I was in my 40s when I started to transition. So, you know, I didn't have the benefit of transitioning young. So long story boring, I looked very manly in the first few years of my transition. But once the hormones started to kick in, my body started to change. As I've said in the past, I've had zero surgeries, you guys. Everything you see is just from what I've gotten with hormone replacement therapy and just cosmetic stuff like makeup and the way that I wear my hair and the clothes that I wear. It's all like kind of like smoke and mirrors, for lack of a better description. But nonetheless, be that as it may, it works. And so like people sometimes can tell that I'm trans, and other times people cannot tell that I'm trans. It just depends on the person. It depends on the day and how I look and present myself. So this guy, I started to realize in our phone conversation that he may not know that I was trans because I never brought it up. And the way that the energy of the conversation was going was gearing in a direction as if he just wasn't that aware that I was trans, especially when he started asking me about whether or not I had children or not. And yeah, let's take a moment to keep it real right now, because I know that the social justice warriors out there are going to want to shut me down because I'm insinuating that most trans women don't have children. Well, honey, the reason why I'm insinuating that most trans women don't have children is because they don't. Most natural-born women have children, but most trans women don't. Not saying that they all don't, I'm saying most of them don't. So, yeah. Anyway, so I just had to bring it up at that point and said, listen, before we go out anywhere, I just want you to know, in case you're not aware of it, that I happen to be transsexual. And at that point, I was met with nothing but silence on the other end of the phone. And I was really anxiously anticipating what his response was going to be, because I was hoping that he was just going to be like, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. But that's not what he said. He was like, oh, wow. Oh, my God, wow. He goes, I'm so sorry. I totally didn't know. He goes, you're so beautiful. You're so attractive. He goes, oh my God. He goes, I'm so sorry. I hope not to offend you, but not into that. He goes, I really was, thinking that you were a natural born woman. And those aren't necessarily the words that he used, but for the sake of not offending people, I'm just going to say that's what he said. Now, some people may think that, oh, he's a transphobe because he's not attracted to trans women, or he doesn't want to. Well, actually, he was attracted to a trans woman, but when he found out that I didn't have all the female reproductive parts that he was hoping for, then his interest dissipated. And you know what? I reacted the way that a normal person should react, with complete empathy and understanding. Listen, he's not a transphobe just because he's not into trans women. No. If anything, it's a flattery that he thought that I was a natural born woman. But once he found out that I wasn't, he lost interest. And that's okay. Just because somebody's not into trans women doesn't mean they're transphobes. Some people want to say that, oh, well, if he doesn't have a preference for trans women, then, like a preference would be like, I like Hispanic women or white women or whatever, No, it's not the same thing. When straight men are attracted to women, it's because ultimately they want sex with them, and they want sex with them under the condition that they have a vagina. Call it crazy, but straight men like vaginas. Natural born men that are straight like vaginas. So when a trans woman can pass, but she doesn't have a vagina, that creates a very unique, sensitive situation that a lot of other trans women that don't pass don't understand about women that do pass. For example, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, a new friend actually, but you guys are going to meet her because she agreed to let me interview her. She's another trans woman. Her name is Monroe, and she's actually just a doll. She's a delight, and you guys are going to love her. She's beautiful and extremely intelligent, and I admire her so much. And the reason why I want you guys to meet her is because although she and I do have a lot in common in regards to our ideology, our ethics, and our morals, she and I also differ in a lot of different ways. And sometimes we don't agree on everything. And I think it's important to incorporate people that don't always see eye to eye with you on every single issue or point. Because if you just hung out with people that agreed with everything that you said, you would be one-dimensional and you wouldn't have any depth or any other perspective other than your own. And what fun is that? What makes this world so wonderfully unique and beautifully different is that we all are so different from one another, and we all have different points of view and different likes and dislikes, and that's all okay. And some of you trans people may not agree with me. You may not agree that disclosing the fact that you're trans perhaps maybe to you, it's the same thing as disclosing all of your medical history to somebody that you just met. You probably don't think it's necessary to disclose to somebody that you had, were born with a cleft lip, or that you were born a diabetic, or that you have a heart condition. No, these are things that you don't need to tell people when you meet them. However, when you are trans, that is something that you should tell them before you go any further, for many different reasons. For one, if you wait too long to tell them and they're not into it, you're just going to get hurt, and you're going to hurt that person too. But another more important reason, you may put yourself in very unnecessary danger if you wait for any further to tell somebody that you are trans. Now, the reason why I didn't tell him at the store in line was because we were being observed by so many people, and we were under like a microscope when people were listening to him flirt with me. So I didn't want to cause him unnecessary embarrassment by telling him right then and there in front of everybody that I was trans. And at the same time, it would have embarrassed me too. So I chose to wait till we actually possibly would have a conversation. And when he ended up following through with what he said and called me and we were talking, that's when I chose to tell him, because it was a good opportunity for both of us to discuss it in private. I didn't want to cause anybody any unnecessary embarrassment. So he didn't react the way that I wanted him to react, but I was still very appreciative that he was still very respectful to me and continued to be complimentary. Listen, we have to be understanding that people are not going to like us all the time. People are not going to be attracted to us all the time, and that is quite all right. It's okay, because we're not attracted to everybody. We have our preferences, so why can't they have theirs? So I would encourage you guys to really think about what I'm saying. I'm not saying that my way is the only way, and I'm not saying that I have the right way to do it. I'm just saying consider it, because most of the trans women that encounter violence and that are murdered are typically, that happens to them by people that they know. It's very unusual for trans women to be attacked by people that they don't know, unless you're a sex worker, of course. And in that case, it's dangerous for natural born women and trans women when you do that type of work, because it's very risky and the men are anonymous. But for the most, when you hear about a trans woman that gets attacked or murdered, or both, it's usually by someone that she's acquainted with. So it's important that we keep it real and we tell people at the most convenient and safest time for us to do so. So I just wanted to put this video out there because I thought this story would be a good lesson for all of us to think about and talk about. And if you have a different opinion, if you have a different point of view, please leave it in the comment section. You don't have to be mean about it, but just leave a comment, because I want people to see different perspectives and hear other people's points of view. I think it's important that we all are able to safely and respectfully express ourselves. So I just wanted to thank you all for letting me make this video today, and if you know anybody that can benefit from watching this video, please send it to them. And until then, be safe, love yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces.